me what's on your mind.
Hey there, this is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. This is my good friend Luke Stone,
Hey, what's up, man?
and we are going to go in some deep waters today, and he's going to help me swim or hold me under. I'm not sure which yet.
Well, we'll figure it out, won't we?
We will. Sure will.
We'll figure it out.
Well, Dave seems to think this is a good time slot, so hey, all right, no problem.
4 o'clock is a good time slot.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll move. I don't know. Anyway, so what we'll talk about today is writing more important than the art? Okay. So,
Man, let me just start with this, dude. You always try to step in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have this conversation a lot, and it's never a popular topic.
Mm-mm.
And I don't think you're a glutton for punishment, which I like because I also am a glutton for punishment. Thus the reason why I'm the one that answered the call and no one else.
Everybody else was like,
I'm not touching that one. I'm like, dude, I'll dive right in. People are not going to like what I have to say today.
Nope. Well, I'm going to say, starting out, that opinions that I express today are my own. And they do not necessarily reflect the opinions of anybody associated with me, including the Genesis Crüe or anybody else. So, that being said.
And I will say this, my opinions today are my opinions. Yep. And I stand by every last one of them. And if you don't like them, you can kiss it.
There you go. So, Heisenberg. I'm debating Heisenberg.
Blame T-Bunny over here. He's the one that asked my opinion. It's his fault.
Right. Yeah, don't ask the man's opinion if you don't want the man's opinion.
Right, you're going to get it.
Yeah. Fortunately, I do. I do. Anyway, so this topic occurred to me when I was watching the review for the latest Kenobi disaster, the Star Wars thing. And
well, I've watched up to episode 4. I haven't watched episode 5 yet.
Right. Well, it retcons a lot of things having to do with the first movie, which is like really messing with the source material for the whole thing. The whole thing is like predicated on that first movie.
Yeah.
And so they're messing with it. And so anyway, Dave McDowell says, how's everyone doing? Looking forward to this one. All right, Dave, maybe you are, maybe you're not. We'll find out. Anyway, so the contrast came to my mind. Okay. Just hearing, and yes, I the review I was listening to was from Doomcock, and he tends to be rather very specific in his bent. So, but the points he were making sounded extremely valid to me. If this was happening, then the assumptions he came up with seemed valid to me. If this was what was going on in the show, which I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but
I will say this. Some people tend to make, dare I say, a career of being pissed off.
Yeah.
And it works for them. It does.
Yeah.
It works for them. But I think there's always a little good, even in with some of the bad. So I think there's usually something that you can find in entertainment. So far, I've been up to episode 4, and I've been able to find little nuggets of entertainment. I'm really not particularly happy with how they've handled the source material.
Right.
We have very little information, but the information was pretty rock solid that we did have. And then they're just like, oh, none.
Outrage virgins. Hojo. Yeah. Right.
Yes, Hojo. Outrage virgins. For sure.
Yep. All right, me babbers. We got Bristelli and Dave. Hey, man. Welcome in.
I saw Bristelli earlier this morning.
Yeah. He gets around, man. I think it's like middle of the night for him over there, so I'm surprised he shows up sometimes. Anyway, Genuine Comics says, awesome.
It says Papa Bear on there. Nice.
There you go. There you go.
Sean,
So I'm amazed people still care about Star Wars, let alone get arguments about it. Well, we're not arguing. I'm just using it as a for instance, as it were. Anyway, then you get something. I'm going to contrast it with Top Gun Maverick. Okay.
Great movie.
Yeah. Universally praised. People, and when I hear about people talk about how it took the source material and it honored it, but it moved the story forward in a way that made sense, and basically, you never were taken out of it. You were like, I'm back in that universe.
Let's put it this way: they did it in such a way to where they can have a Top Gun franchise now.
Yeah,
they can make additional movies without Tom Cruise.
That Tom Cruise, yeah,
and it would be fine because they passed the torch, to a younger generation of fighter pilot. And it had all of the heart and character of the first movie.
Yeah.
I thought maybe the first half of the first movie was better than the first half of the second movie. But the second half of the second movie blew the second half of the first movie away. I mean, they just, I'm telling you, that is what cinema should be. That is what going to the movies is all about.
Well, see, that seems to be a universal thing. Now, the thing about it is, though, is when you look at the production values of both of these things, the production values are extraordinarily high. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, there's nothing wrong with the art. There's nothing wrong with the direction. There's nothing wrong with, the images. There's nothing wrong with what you're seeing with your eyes. Yeah. The difference is in the writing. And you look at mainstream comics, and there's some really horrible art in mainstream comics. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not that bad. It's
It's
still pretty good. Here's the thing. Yeah. As an artist, I'll tell you, art is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
You could look at a piece and I could look at a piece. We both may have a different opinion of that piece of art, right? Yeah. So I don't like to talk about, because that's the problem when we start talking about art.
Yeah.
And also sometimes writing is also an art, and it can also be somewhat subjective as well, right? But there are things that, is good art versus bad art.
Yeah.
On how it look like, there's certain like fundamental things that you notice, like you can tell if something looks polished or not. And we talk about writing a lot, writing is important. We talk about art a lot. Art is important. Okay. So I'm both. I say writer, artist, right? I'm both.
All right. Yeah.
So as a writer, I'm wanting to tell a story. As an artist, I'm also wanting to tell a story. Now, as the art part of me, I've got to tell the story well.
Mm-hmm.
That means all of the visuals need to be nice and eye-catching. And I want those visuals to lead from one panel to the next to tell the story. Mm-hmm. So it's like yin and yang.
Yeah.
You can't rip them apart. You just mentioned Star Wars, light side and dark side.
Yeah.
Anakin brought balance to the Force.
Right.
Because he went dark side.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's like everything. It's all or nothing once you're in your mindset. And so for the light side, it was eradicate all of the dark side. And they did for a long time. And then it was for the dark side, eradicate all of the light side. Orders 66, this crap. And they did, right?
Right.
The problem is the Force needs to be in balance. That's when you've got to have a Mace Windu.
Right.
A guy who is a good guy, but also thinks like a bad guy a little bit. You know? It's that mindset, and you've got to have that juxtaposition of the two. And so art and writing in our medium is, I believe, they're at equal levels. Right. Because here's what I find, Coop. I find that at that level we're talking about the highest production level that we can possibly get. Is Disney and all these companies, right?
Right.
Which is why people are complaining about She-Hulk. Because they're like, whoa, that CG, that production level is not where they're supposed to be, right?
Right.
The writing might be really good, but the quality isn't. The production quality isn't.
Right.
So you could have a comic book that's written masterfully, and I'm not talking about stylistic choice for art, but if you put an inexperienced artist with an experienced writer, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be absolutely terrible.
Right.
And if you put really great art with subpar writing, which is what we see a lot.
What we see a lot.
Mainstream. We see a lot of that lately. It's going to be very, very bad. It's still going to be bad. It's going to be a well-polished turd. Okay?
Right.
Which is, kind of what some of the new Star Wars things have been and some of the stuff coming out lately. It's a well-polished turd. And that's the problem when we have this argument on which is more important. They're both important. Now, I'll tell you, here's where I hear the argument a lot.
Right.
I hear the argument that art is more important than writing from artists that can't write or can't work with the team that can't default to a writer for something. So they're really good at art, but they're crap at writing. They think they're a writer, but they're not. They're a crap writer, but their art is great. Or they're just too big of an ego to work with anyone, so they don't really want to work with a writer. And to them, art is more important. They'll always argue that the art is more important than the writing, right?
Right.
And then the opposite is true. A writer who either can't draw or doesn't want to spend the money to work to pay a good artist says, well, the writing's more important than the art. But that's baloney now, isn't it? Because when we pick up a book, we don't go, let me read this thing first and then determine if it's good or not. What we do, we pick it up, look at the cover.
Pick it up, look at the cover.
A book can't be judged by its cover as baloney because that's what happens every day in comics. We pick up the book, we look at the cover, we flip through the pages. Do I like the art? Am I okay with this? Does it, now me, so this is Randy Zimmerman working on a book called Hero Bot Zero. And it's more on a cartoon level, right? So it's not typically what I read, but I'm like, okay, how do the sequentials look? Are the panels laid out well? Is it interesting? Does it tell me a story visually? And I can judge that in 2 or 3 pages. And I'm like, okay, well, this looks kind of cute. I do like the art style. I like how the story's being told, it seems. And so I'm going to read this, give it a shot. Then I'm going to find out if it's good or not. If the writing is good, guess what? I'm never buying issue 2. Right? So as a writer, what do I want to do? I want to make sure that I've got the best possible art on my book so that they do buy issue 2. And if I'm an artist, as a writer, I want the best possible art so they buy issue 1. Right? As a artist, I want the best possible writing so they buy issue 2.
Buy issue 2.
See? So we need each other. We got to have each other. It's impossible to separate the two. It's impossible to separate the two.
Well, let me got a little behind here. Go ahead. Yep. Rustolian still needs to see Maverick. So do I. I need to.
Get out and do it, man. You guys will not be disappointed.
Oh, I know. As soon as it gets digital, my movie going friend doesn't want to go see it, so I have to see it digital.
Go by yourself. It won't matter, dude. Get yourself a big popcorn. I'm telling you, the biggest popcorn you got, because you'll be just going at it. I'm telling you, it's worth seeing in the theater. Just it's an experience.
Well, as a single adult male, I have to deal with the mothers taking their kids away from me, but it is what it is.
You don't have to worry about that in that movie, I don't think.
All right. I got.
There's a lot of guys going back to see it 2 and 3 times.
I'll just say
this movie's so awesome. Okay. This movie's so awesome. I'm telling you, it is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Okay, I'll go see it.
Ever in my life.
Yeah. Writing and art go hand in hand. Art is the thing that brings people in. Stories what keep them reading. Yep. Hojo, the two are symbiotic. Since comics is a visual medium, one cannot survive without the other when it comes to storytelling. He missed that. Yeah. Dave, I always say the art sells the book, with the writing sets the hook.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it sure does. What Luke is saying is that writing's the light side and the art is the dark side. I'm basically a Jedi. There you go.
And I'm Mace Windu.
There you go. The only reason people even read my stories is because amazing artists make them look good. Yep. Agreed. But your writing brings
your writing's pretty good too. Yeah.
Yep.
It keeps them coming back.
I reviewed Death Dealer #1 today on my channel. The writing is subpar and juvenile, and so, So yeah, the writing makes the book right. Let me see here. It's your stories that keep them coming back. Your writing was shit. It'd just be a pen-up book. Yep. Great. Definitely. I mean, Perfect 10. Yes, she's got the booty. Yes, she's got the breasts, but I gotta care about her.
Got to care about
her. Yeah. That's the thing. I think the reason why I know why I keep reapproaching this subject and I keep coming back to it, but I think every time I get a comic that is just, that I see the art is just, you can tell this person has just poured over every panel and they've just sat there and it's been precious to them and they just made sure every angle was right and every I was dotted, every T was crossed, and it's just perfect panel. But then the book has no narrative cohesion. That I just got a book that's very famous in this community. Guy happens to be a very popular pinup artist. When he puts out books, the girls got booty. The guys are got 6-pack abs. It's that kind. But once again, second book I've gotten from him, the last book I'll get from him, is because the writing was shit. And so I'm sitting here, and the thing about it is, the first book I got on him, got from this guy, I basically I reviewed it for him just to put it in his DMs, and I said, okay, when you write your next one, you really need to consider this, and this, and this. And then I get this book, and absolutely the exact same stuff that I saw the first time. Unreliable.
Did he solicit that advice?
Did not solicit that advice.
Then no, then he won't take it. I don't take any advice I don't solicit.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's my rule. Because here's the thing: everybody's got advice for you. I got some advice the other day on who I should and should not have on my channel. I'm like, well, the last time I checked is my channel, so buzz off.
I know. Good for Top Gun, you get a pass for going by yourself as a straight white male.
Yes, you do. Yeah,
but if I can't play volleyball though, So
I'm telling you, that's like our. I don't know. There's something about it. Straight white male. It's our.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's like our. It's like our spice pumpkin latte.
Right.
If we were, if we were a white woman on Instagram, I don't know.
There you go. There's no excuse to have a bad story. Just put effort into it. Be honest about it. If you have no story to tell, well, maybe make a comic. That's true. True. Well, the thing about it is I see this all the time. I call them beautiful tragedies, because they're absolutely gorgeous books. You can tell this person spent these creators have spent a lot of time, and probably, if they are not the artist, they've driven the artist crazy getting just this thing perfect, right? But then I get the book, and it's obvious they, number one, didn't pursue an editor. Number two, especially a story editor. They might have absolutely perfect grammar and everything, and no misspelled words, but they obviously didn't get a story editor. And
I don't care who you are. You can't make your book by yourself. Okay, no. It's not going to be the best it can be if you make it by yourself. I know a couple of people that they've put out their book and they've done it all by themselves.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't care how good of a writer you are. I mean, let's look at some of the best writers that are out. You may or may not like Nicholas Sparks, but the man sells. The man's making bank on what he does. So he's doing something right. But you know what he has? He has an editor, and not just somebody to check the grammar. That's not what they're doing.
Right.
An editor, they're like in prose. Those editors read the manuscript or they're like, this is good or this is bad. And they'll tell you, like, hey, this chapter needs some work, rework this. We don't like the way it ends or whatever. Now, once you've made some money, they kind of let you go a little bit,
Right.
Because, but by then, by the time you've made, 2 or 3, 4, 5 bestsellers, the formula, what you need to do. It starts to come in there,
Right.
So it's like
Right.
early on, Piper was editing the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Now it's like as I'm writing stuff, she's like, okay, yeah, that's pretty good actually, because I know what I'm already got her
Right.
voice in my head telling
Right.
me why I suck, right? So the
Right.
thing is, you
Right.
can't create in a vacuum, and that's what
No.
happens. Like some of this stuff doesn't get ran by an
Mm-mm.
editor, or it gets ran by somebody who's a
No.
fan. Heaven forbid you should have someone that fanboys or fangirls over you be your
Yeah.
editor. You cannot do that. They've
Oh
got to be
yeah.
very
Oh yeah.
critical of you. And
Right.
here's the thing: you want to pay someone that you trust to be critical of
Yeah.
you. Like I said, I don't take unsolicited advice. If you come up and give, Coop, I love you, I appreciate you. But
Oh
if you
yeah.
come and give me advice and I didn't ask for it,
Right.
I'm probably not going to take it. Unless
Okay.
it's just such great, profound advice that
Mhm.
I'd be stupid to ignore it. But for the
Right.
most part, because I didn't solicit that from you. And
Right.
I think you're probably going to be the same way with me. I'd
Yeah.
be like, Coop, here's what you need to do. Well,
Mhm.
yeah,
Would say I'm slightly different in that any advice that I'm given, whether it's good or bad, I do weigh it against the vision that I have in my head, and if I ask for the advice, I do take a heavier weight for it, because I did ask the person, and so. But
yeah.
I mean, I run into that all the time where somebody solicits my advice, and I always ask them, "Do you want praise or do you want my advice? If you want
That's
my
another
advice."
good. Oh man, that's a whole other bag of worms, isn't it? Because you got people that they say, "Hey, what do you think?" And they don't
Yeah,
really want to know what you think.
right.
They want to be affirmed. They
Yeah.
want whatever they're doing to be affirmed. And
Okay.
I know. So I was a part of the Genesis Crew with you for a while. I'll
Yeah.
probably come
Mhm.
back soon. I'll probably come back
Okay.
soon. To be honest with you. But one of the
Alright.
things that we haven't ran into, it's like some
Mhm.
people ask for advice. They don't really want advice, or in that setting, it's
No.
the setting for advice. That's kind of like
Yeah.
your
Mhm.
presence in there says,
Right.
I am ready to take advice from the other members of this group.
Yeah.
And not everyone is that way. Not everyone wants that.
Mhm.
They're, and it's clear when you read some of these books that someone didn't even solicit advice.
Mhm.
They just thought ego gets in the way, I think sometimes.
Right.
I'm the
Right.
best. Look at me. I am freaking on top. I am I
And, how many times have you run into that attitude and the person really is not?
nearly 100% of the time. Nearly 100% of the time, when they think that they have golden uh, balls between their legs,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
they usually are. They're usually just
And
maybe
for the
not
most
garbage, but
part,
pretty bad at
maybe
what they
for
do.
for the most part, that armor they wrap themselves in is the reason they're not, you know?
Yeah,
And because, honestly, the only way you can ever achieve the higher levels, that you need to get to is through critique and through
yeah,
other people pointing the issues that you have. Does the vessel hold water? You don't know until you fill it up with water.
yeah. And so you have to go back to its ego. It's
Yeah.
ego that makes you say that writing is better than art, or art is better than comic or than the
Yeah.
writing. But when you're in this medium, neither one is better than the other. They must be equal. The
They
art
must
and
be.
the writing must be equal to one another. And if we
Right.
want to create great work, then we must
Mhm.
have great writing and great art paired together. That's why I'm excited about the Diaz
Mhm.
guy and
Yeah.
Keon working together on a book. I'm like, this is
Right.
going to be an amazing book because
Right.
you got talent working on it. And I know there's some writers where
Yeah.
honestly, I'll be honest with you, their writing is good. But
Mhm.
people that are writers tend to be like, I don't really like them. They write to
Yeah.
the art. They're not really writing anything of depth. But then I
Right.
try to remind people again, it's
Mhm.
funny books, okay? It's a
Yeah.
funny book. I mean, we're not writing, the Lord of the Rings here. We're not
Right.
writing, maybe you are.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what you're going for. You go
Yeah.
for that. But
Right.
maybe you just need some Lone Ranger, some Hilo
Yeah.
Silver kind of entertainment. And
Right.
that's fine too. That's great.
Yeah.
But,
Mhm.
you know, again, if it's that kind of stuff, if you're writing for these big, magnificent scenes,
Yeah.
then you got to pair
Mhm.
up with that. You got to find that. But
Right.
it's all a matter of pairing the art with the writing and the writing with the art. and then making sure you've got somebody that can tell you when, hey, you nailed it or you missed it, or you're almost there, tweak this and you'll get there. I think it comes down to that dropping the ego a little bit.
I think it's what kills me the most is that tweak. And that person, if they had another voice in their ear, this could have been light years better than what it is.
That's what I'm noticing with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I'm like, man, if they would have just made this little tweak and done this here, this would have been so much better.
But when you see something where that happened, where somebody did do that tweak, like the difference between 2016 Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters Endgame, Afterlife.
Yeah.
Afterlife. When you see that you see the difference between those, you can see where somebody like just was like, okay, let's just get this over with, and you got somebody that says, this is my father's legacy. I'm gonna make damn sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed.
It reminds me of
showed. You
ever watch the show Chopped on Food Network?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Some of these reminds me. It's like, hey, we're going to give you these ingredients, and you've got to make a dish out of these ingredients, right? It's not what they would make, but it's what they have to make, right? Versus Beat Bobby Flay, where once they get through that special ingredient they've got to use, they go and they get to make their signature dish, right?
Right.
Some of these movies that they're making and TV shows feel that way these days. That someone has said, we want this, 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 and this in that particular piece of work.
Right.
Put it in there. And the writers and the producers, the artists, all these people have to work to put that in there, right?
Right.
It's like Chopped. They've tried to make something really good out of what they were told they had to work with, but it still is lamb liver and sour eggs. At the end of the day, you're still putting mayonnaise with chocolate sauce. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you try to mask it. You're still masking some crazy stuff in that dish. Rather than if you made your signature dish, if you were going to make the movie, how would you make it? And that's the thing. And that's where you're right with the Ghostbusters, that remake versus Afterlife, where they cared about the subject matter. They cared about the product, and they weren't trying to put anything in there. It wasn't about, it felt like there was some agenda in that other one. But in this one, no one cared. That's what makes Top Gun so great. It's not political. I mean, they do go after some country. It doesn't even say what country it is. All you know is they're a bad guy. You don't need to. You don't have to name the bad guy a lot of times. Just it's the bad guy. They're doing something bad. You're going to go and stop the bad guy.
Right.
Great.
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Genuine says that Luke is a good guest.
Well, thank you, Genuine.
Yeah.
I try to add something. Try to add something as best I can.
Ojo says, I was literally about to say the same thing about Piper. Each revision was easier, but I look back at the first draft I sent her and just laugh. Yeah. Is writing more important than art? No, it's not. Okay. That we didn't say that. We didn't say that, Dean. We said it's equal.
Yeah.
And there's that is actually controversial to some people, Dean.
Saying that the two are equal is. Yeah, I mean, you'd think you're like calling somebody's mother a whore or something.
Exactly.
Well, Bertha was a lovely woman.
Right.
I'm not questioning Bertha's loveliness. I'm telling you, right?
Bertha was a lovely woman that she just happened to sleep with her share of men. Anyway, out of wedlock. Anyway,
Bertha is actually my mother's name.
Oh, sorry about that. Comics are the ultimate.
This statement wouldn't be untrue, though.
Okay. I'm just gonna move past that.
We should just move right on. There's a whole level of needing to talk to a counselor that I just doesn't need to happen on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, we kicked over a stone and some stuff crawled out, so we're just gonna move on.
That one's something died under there. Let's just walk along, man.
Move along. All right, comics are the ultimate Voltron of art and writing. I'll agree with that. That's very good. That's very good image there. Yeah. Don't mention that movie, LOL. All right. I don't want to give him, don't want to stress Belmont out. Like it's possible. Anyway, yeah, you make some crazy. Yep, yeah, you do. Small indie projects often have better stories than $1 million franchises with professional team of writers. Yeah,
I agree. And you know what? Sometimes we wonder why that happens, right? And I think I think it's because of what I just said. Corporation, I want these things in there. It has to meet this criteria, has to appeal to this person. We have to be able to merchandise. We have to do all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when we're just here, we're not thinking about anything more than the book that we're creating.
Right.
Because that's just having that book out is the most important thing to us. Like that is
one thing that you do see in those cooking shows. Have you ever noticed this? When they're supposed to be collaborating and everybody wants to collaborate, usually they lose. But when somebody in the collaborative team says, "Okay, I'm taking charge. This is my, you guys, you guys follow me, we'll be all right," they usually win. Or that guy, that particular person goes out the door. But anyway,
or they say, "You're full of it." But
usually,
sometimes you do need to capture the vision.
Yeah.
Of a story runner,
Yeah.
And I do that a lot. I'm producing a few new stories this year, Coop. One of them is called Juror 13. I'm working with a guy named Edward Davis. It is not a kid-friendly book.
No.
So it's not anything near that. I mean, it is going to be a hard M. It's a hard M. It's going to have harsh language. It's going to have very difficult content. But I want to tell. I think it needs to be done. Now, I'm not the writer for this because that's not the way I write. But Edward is. He is the writer for this, and so I paired up with him. But I'm directing where it's going to go. So he may be the chef, but I'm the
restaurant owner.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what we're putting on the menu. Yeah, and if I don't like what's on the menu, we're going to change it. You know? And so there is that aspect to it. And now I'm co-creating this story with Piper.
Yeah.
Now she's leading the main thing of this, but it is an all ages thing, and I'm very excited about it because it's something that everyone's going to be able to pick up. Rift Riders. Yeah, everyone's going to be able to pick up this book, and they're going to be able to find enjoyment in it because it's going to be fun. It's fun. The main character.
If she's half a good writer as she is an editor, it should really be awesome. And usually editors are real good editors are good writers. So.
She is, and I'm kind of trading roles with her as the editor, but I'm still kind of story running. Like we talk about where the story's going to go, and then like we're working on this together. So she's kind of the main writer. I'm kind of story edit a little bit. I'm kind of playing Piper's role in this one, and but she's good at it. She's good at what she's doing, right?
Oh yeah.
But the thing is. So one of the main characters, we got 3 main characters in this book, but he's a 45-year-old that's stuck in like a 13-year-old's body. And his timeline, like what we reveal is in his timeline, he was able to escape when his timeline came to an end. He was able to get in this ship and leave. And it stopped. He was at 13 when that happened. Well, he continued to age, but his body did not because his timeline stopped. Now that doesn't happen for everybody. That just was a glitch for him. That's what happened with him, right? So here he is like a 45-year-old man in a 13-year-old's body. So he still has all the zeal and energy of a teenager, but he's got all the jaded grizzledness of a 45-year-old. So I started thinking, what kind of fun dynamic you could have with that kind of character. So, I mean, it's something that we can continue to have fun with, and I think everyone can enjoy that.
Like the baby from Roger Rabbit, who framed Roger Rabbit.
Exactly, yeah. Or even a Doctor Who. Which is, an old man and a young man's
Matt
body.
Smith,
the Matt Smith feel, So we're excited about it. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be I hope it's a huge hit, right?
That sounds like like a lot of fun. I'm definitely interested in seeing it. Do not want politics, self-assertion, or disdain for my business when I read a comic. I was getting too much of that in the mainstream, so I left, right?
Yeah.
Perlin said the most important part of the comic is the story. Artwork doesn't matter if the story isn't good. That's Don Perlin, who happens to be a hell of an artist. So there you go.
Well, yeah, but again, you can have the best writing in the world.
Right.
And I'm going to agree with Comics Mate here, with Dean.
Yep.
You can have the best writing in the world and put crap art on it. No one's going to read it. You're never going to know it's a great story.
In comic books, absolutely right. Comics, mate. Something nobody ever thinks about when talking about our favorite artists. We mentioned the best stories as artists drew both sides of the same coin. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Genuine comics. This is why sequels to movies seldom reach the level of original film. First movie was made because there was an idea. Sequels are made because studios want to milk more of it. That's true. That's
Milk
true.
it.
Yeah. Milk it. Yeah. Comics, mate.
Suckle
I would
that
love
tick.
Oh yeah. Just make sure it's not an alien. Anyway, so I would love to get an opportunity to ask some of the great artists about certain stories that were very popular. Like, could you feel that certain issue was different? Oh, okay. That'd be interesting. Yeah, that's always the case with third movie, Dave. Who's so many comic books art is more important than the writing. We're disagreeing with you there.
We're disagreeing
Anyway,
with you. They're equal. They're equal.
They're equal.
You can't have one without the
non-epic.
other.
Nope, cannot. Perfect non-epic example of what's Hangover trilogy. It just got worse and worse by the third one. I just wanted it to be over. Yeah,
It did. It did. That first one was great. By number 3, I was like, why are they even still doing this?
Why are you even there? Why even? The first premise was good. But you know,
by the third one, the magic was gone. You know, it's like me and my wife. We love this movie called Couples Retreat. All right, it's got Vince Vaughn in it and a few other really famous people, and it is absolutely hilarious. We love it. I don't know that it really got much recognition, but if they would ever make a second one, it probably wouldn't be as good. So I mean, don't mess with it. Don't make another Goonies. One Goonies movie, that's all you need. It was perfect. It was great. You know, now in today's culture, they want to make a second one and a third one, and a fourth one, fifth one. We don't need that. We don't need all that mess, right? And let's look at a couple of sequels that we know did get worse. Ghostbusters 2? No, thank you. It's just
Well, I was listening to Dan Aykroyd last night on Joe Rogan. He did a interview with Joe Rogan for a little while ago, and he was talking about the reason that he helped write Ghostbusters was because of his own like supernatural stuff and impetus that he was like really heavily into. And but then he was talking about this you could tell his liberal bias was showing, because he's like, well, the Ghostbusters 2016, they did great. Those girls did great, but maybe we should have like had more of a hand on it, and
he was trying to not get canceled.
He did try not to get canceled.
So I got 3 rules to my life. Okay, there's 3 things that I live by.
Right. Yep.
Number 1, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care who or what's between your legs. I don't care what you want to do. I don't care. You want to come at me? You're mad at me about something? I don't care. Number 2, why not? Why'd you do that?
Right.
Why not? Why should we do this? Well, why not? I'm very agreeable when it's like, hey, let's try things. Why not? Why not do it, right? And my third thing is #uncancelable. Because
there you go.
You can only be canceled if you care. The people that love to cancel people, once they get through canceling everybody, and they can't cancel anyone else, they're going to move to anyone who cares, right? When you stop caring, they can't cancel.
Well, see, my neighborhood, we had a bully basically in the neighborhood, and he was spoiled rotten, only the youngest child, and his mama treated him like center of the universe. Later became my stepbrother, which is another horrible story. But anyway, but he would do this thing where he was like, well, if you don't, if I don't get my way, I'm going home, and me who was playing with him, I would be like, oh, no, okay, man, I don't know why in the world, but he would always do that head game on me. But my brother was like, okay, go home. One day my brother just like, okay, I'm done with this. Okay, go home. And then he would like go a little bit further down. He's like, I'm gonna go home now. And he's like, okay, yeah, see you. All right, bye.
Later.
And then he just like kept looking back. Okay, are they gonna call me back? You're gonna call me back. But that's what this is. They only have the power that we let them have. And
now, I will say this though. I made a comment about sequels. There's one movie where the sequel, in my opinion, was way better than the first, and that was Terminator 2.
Oh, okay.
Because they got more budget.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to go in and do more.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was just a really good story. You already knew what was going on with
One
the
would argue
Terminator.
Aliens is same director.
Yeah, yep.
Is better than the original.
And I would say, I would say Aliens. Home Alone 2 was pretty good. I
Yeah.
won't say that it was better than the original, but it's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, according to Comics Mate.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will say
Yeah.
that one, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
That was good. That was a good movie. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the
Yeah.
first movie I saw when I got out of the hospital.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I was still in the wheelchair at that time.
Yeah.
They rolled me in there to watch it. I come out smiling. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't die so I could see that movie.
It could have been oxygen deprivation anyway.
I was so happy.
Goonies 2 in pre-production, Corey Feldman, Cyndi Lauper, and one of the Fratelli brothers listed as an. Oh my God. Seriously. Okay.
Yeah, it's happening, I guess.
Yeah. Ah, well, of course I'll get Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman is still alive.
He is still alive.
He's still alive. He's still
Sean Astin is still alive. Sean
Yeah.
Astin can be in it. Who else could be in it? You know what? The kid that played Chunk.
James Brolin. Brolin's still alive.
James Brolin could be in there. Yeah. The dude that played Chunk, he's like thin and nice looking.
Yeah, I know. He's a lawyer now or something. Remove music catalog from the platform. Okay.
Go for it, Belmont. Do it.
Yeah,
that's what I like.
Corey
Do it.
Haim.
Take your stuff. Yeah.
Corey Haim was the one that passed. Yeah.
Yeah, Corey.
More budget's not the reason. T2 is a great sequel. It added the first movie, had a good story to tell, plus ended the entire saga in a satisfying manner. The movie
really did.
Yep, and they should have left it there. Return of the Killer Tomatoes is still better of the two movies. Anyway, okay, I'm going to meet Astin and Feldman at Denver Con in a couple of weeks. Yep, that'd be a good time. Yeah, but I guess the reason why I keep revisiting this topic and is that I just feel like somebody needs to say it. I just don't feel like it's being said enough. That you got new creators coming in all the time. One of my new friends, a guy we just added to the crew today, happens to be a ghostwriter from about 15 years ago in the comic industry. Broken Compass Comics, James, his name. Got a Magnificent Bastards is his comic. Look it up. It's got a interdimensional walrus in it. So, I'm on board. Anyway, but
I'll check that out.
Yeah, but he was talking about that that he knew all these other people who are writing and propping up these comic book writers, to help them meet their deadlines, and was like literally rewriting scripts and things like that when they got too many notes or whatever. And it was the reason why the comic writing was like this level in the industry about 15 years ago. And then he said that they kept like promising them books, and then they never put their name on a book, but they're NDA'd and they couldn't do anything about it. So all their hard work was just like out there, and these comics, and people were lauding, and they couldn't even tell people that they wrote them. And he's talking about so many of them that just left and walked away from the industry, and so had he. But now he's coming back, and he's like, and I was like, I'm like wondering how many great stories, when they ended this ghostwriter program, and the comic book writing went downhill. But I'm wondering how many of those writers who were just propping up comics those years ago that have walked away from the industry could now maybe say, hey, you want to make that comic?
Yeah.
You want to make that comic that you always wanted to make, but they kept like holding the carrot in front of your nose and moving it until you gave up. It's like, you want to make that comic? The one that all this time you spent in working on somebody else's IP and making them look good. Would you like to write the comic that'll make you look good? That'll have your name on it.
And how many of these writers do we hold in high regard from 10, 15 years ago that were propped up by somebody else's talent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
like Mark Waid. You see so many things. Wow, Mark Waid really was a good writer about that a few years ago. But now you look at his stuff now, and it's shit. And it's like, what happened to Mark Waid? Maybe it wasn't Mark Waid.
Yeah, because you think like, how can someone be so good and then get so bad? You know, because you tend to get better the older you get, the more experience you have. You tend to grow into that a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that maybe some of that might have happened. You know, either that or he got hit on the head and then just got bad at writing. I don't know.
Well, the thing about it is, though, is one thing I'm kind of want to talk to James about is, why don't you point these guys to the direction of crowdfunding and say, you want to make that comic? You walked away from the industry. You walked away from writing. You walk, with your finger in the air, just like Jack Kirby said, comics broke your heart, but maybe you can come back to it, like, because so many of us walked away from comics, just like, Hell Hydra. I'm done with everything. I'm walking away.
I'm pretty well done with mainstream comics.
Yeah,
I'm not. There's not a book that's out right now on the list that is worth being put in my pool box.
Well, I mean, you think you see the new Captain America, and it has a great moment in it, and it's like, there might be recovering, and then they put out Miles Morales' Thor, and it's just like, okay, maybe not. But,
for me, I've got many comic books, and all of the new comic books that I'll be buying are all independent works.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Hojo says Anchorman 2 is an abomination of celluloid. Okay, comics made agree. I feel the current generation is taught the stories don't matter, though modern entertainment they consume. That's a big part of it. It's a big part of it. They lower your expectations. We shouldn't lower our expectations. I've come to an eidetic memory, and Anchorman was so forgettable. I only remember something about a shark and kept making black jokes. Okay.
Anchorman was funny.
Yeah.
Anchorman 2 was pretty bad.
That's bad. Brought to the time like so many SNL comedians. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Hojo. Yeah.
Stat Zero. Hey man, welcome in. Yeah, and then 3 Rules of Luke Stone is my first writing credit.
Yep. Hojo did that in a post.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, that is the 3. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. There you go.
That's me. It's me in a nutshell. Actually, no, this is me in a nutshell. Oh, why am I in this giant nutshell?
Oh no.
That was from Austin Powers.
Yeah. Right.
That also got worse with every sequel.
And it didn't start at a high note.
No, it didn't start at a no.
You start from here and you slide down, then you're pretty far down.
Yeah.
So. But but what he was talking about, Wade James, when I was talking to him the other day, and he was talking about, I'm NDA'd out the ass, I can't even talk about this stuff. And then he's like, I know so many people that propped up some of these books that everybody talks about, and they're just like incredible writers. And he's talking about the artists. They had artists that did the exact same thing. Like, I know R.T. Bear said that he would come in and like fix art, but he never, his name wouldn't be on the book, but he would come in and fix art. And
I did the same with lettering. I lettered a couple of DC books. Like they would come in, I would like there was gaps in pages, and I would have to match whatever the letterer had done.
Right.
And so, but I never got any credit because I was working on it under a brokerage. Actually, that brokerage was out of India. So they were signing the NDAs and extending the NDA to me because I was employed by them. They were paying me. Yeah. And they said, okay, letter the books. And I'm like, this is blank from DC. I was like, I know this book.
My thought is this. What if we've got that industry that just fell off a cliff? What if the people that were actually keeping it afloat are just out there free agents right now?
Well,
what
it's not a what if. They are out there free agents. And if they ever decide to make a comic, under their own name. No one's going to know who they are, but it's going to be good. That's why if these people are coming and writing, then they need to be paired up with good artists so that people actually take a look at the work.
And we've got incredible artists just looking for stuff to do in CG. And I'm like, if we could get some of these incredible writers and say, hey, you want to come make a book? I can pair you up with an artist, and you can make that book you wanted to make. And just like raise the game everybody's got. And that's an exciting thought for me.
Well, it might be an exciting thought for some people, but other people take that as they're very offended by that idea because they like not having competition because they know their work is junk.
Right. Yeah.
If you're watching right now and you don't like the idea of really talented people coming in and raising the game, or you don't like the idea of professionals coming over to CG, guess what?
Right.
It's probably because you're afraid of the quality of what you're putting out isn't up to par. I'm just saying. Because I don't lose not a wink of sleep about that at all. I'm like, hey, that's really cool that they're coming over.
In other words, if you're thinking that they're stealing your air, then maybe you should get higher. Maybe you should go up where there is air. Maybe you should stop slumming it and go up where there is air.
Yeah.
Just not speaking about anybody specifically.
No one's trying to suffocate you.
Statement that was me.
Nobody's trying to suffocate you.
What about Joe Dirt 2? The less talk about Joe Dirt, the better. Anyway,
Joe Dirt.
Yeah. I tried to watch Mike Myers' new show on Netflix. It's not good. Nothing Mike Myers does is good. I don't know why.
I will tell you. On Amazon,
it is good. Yeah.
On Amazon, they've got the new Kids in the Hall. They come back. They're old now, and I watched the first episode, and it's hilarious.
Oh, really?
I laughed my butt off.
Those guys are always way funnier than SNL. Way funnier.
And incredibly inappropriate.
Yay! All right, I'm definitely going to see it now.
I mean, I can't even. Incredibly inappropriate.
And you laughed your butt off, didn't you?
I loved it. Yeah. I shouldn't have loved it as much as I did, but I did. I loved it. It was great.
Well, when you see what passes for comedy these days, this neutered, political, like just lifeless thing, and then you see the people that are still packing arenas, and they're the people they're trying to cancel because they said this or that, the other. It's like, why they're packing arenas? Is because people want somebody to say this.
I love
that,
Bill Burr.
I
love Bill Burr, and people are trying to cancel Bill Burr all the time. I love Dave Chappelle. They try to cancel Dave Chappelle. You know why those two guys aren't canceled? Because they don't care.
They don't care.
They honestly don't care.
They got FU money. They don't care.
Yeah, you can't cancel me. Like, what are you talking about? Neither one of those guys have ever apologized.
No.
Kevin Hart, I love the guy. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He finally got to.
Caved.
But
he caved, yeah.
When they come at him, what did he do? He apologized.
Yep.
He apologized. They're like, well, that's not enough. His apology is not enough.
It's never going to be
enough. Because it's never
enough.
They don't just want you to be sorry. They want you to pay him back for what you did. It's just
they want penance out of you somehow.
Yeah, we talked this morning on Nerd Bacon about kind of this issue that's going on in our culture where it's like, I mentioned there's a culture war because it's not just that people want to have equal opportunity, or to they want someone that thinks different than them to be eradicated.
Yeah.
Not just say, hey,
they want all the opportunity. They want all the opportunities.
They don't think that if you think different. See, they talk about diversity of gender, of sex, and race. But what they lack is diversity in thought.
Yeah.
They think all the same. And I like diversity in thought as well. I think it should be included. But the problem is when they run across someone that thinks different than them, they want to eradicate them. Not just agree that, okay, there's room for both of us in this world. Yeah. They don't want you in the world at all.
I.e., it's a war.
It's a war.
It's a war.
Yes.
This is not a skirmish. This is not a tiff. This is a war.
And if you don't like that it's a war, and
they've been fighting it as a war, and we've been fighting it as a negotiation. And they're not negotiating. They never have been negotiating. I mean, you see this happen in Congress all the time, where they're like, "Oh, well, we'll compromise on." No, they're not compromising with you. You're compromising with them.
Yeah.
And you cannot compromise, because they don't want you just to compromise to meet them in the middle. They want you to back off and so they can advance over your line and cause you to change something about yourself.
They want you so far in the rearview mirror that they can't see you.
That's exactly. And so, and one of the ways they've done this is they have made writing, the lowered the standards on the writing, and lowered it and lowered it and lowered it and lowered it. So people and said, okay, this is the new standard. You have to accept this now. You have to accept the poor writing. You have to accept the poor character.
It's not just you have writing.
To accept.
They've lowered it on everything that really matters. They're trying to abolish morality.
Yeah.
And it's really disgusting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One thing that they do specifically with the writing is they basically make everything shallow and make everything ephemeral.
Yeah.
And make everything into caricatures. And you see that a lot, and that's just like textbook bad writing. If you got a character who can be summed up with just their status in life, then you're not a good writer.
Yeah.
The cop, eats donuts and accosts people that have different colors of skin than them. Then it's not good writing, because nobody is that. Nobody is one thing. Everybody, even your minor characters, are more than one thing.
It's like what Shrek says. All-gooders are like onions. They've got layers. And that's the truth. Right. We've all got layers. Many, many layers on top of each other. And but the problem is onions also stink. And so the problem is we all kind of stink, we all kind of have our problems and our issues that maybe aren't the best. And we try to pretend like we don't, and like we're great. Yeah. And that, there's the other part of the problem. It all comes down to this thing called arrogance.
Yeah.
When you start to think that you are better than
arrogance
someone
and
else.
Immaturity.
Yeah. When you honestly think that you are better than someone else, it permeates.
And whatever you do to them is justified.
Yeah. It permeates every aspect of who you are. And you begin to treat people like they're subpar, that they're in some way deserving of your bad behavior, that they've called it upon themselves in some way.
Like when Colbert's people go into the Capitol and do the exact same thing that they did on January the 6th. It's a joke. You got to accept it as a joke. It's a comic, triumphing comic insult dog. Okay. So we can hold them to a different standard than we can hold these other people to. And it's just arrogance. It's sheer arrogance.
It is. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and we'll conclude here before your voice goes out. It's about supremacy, not equality. Absolutely. Did Rich leave the Nerd Bacon show all of a sudden this morning? Things got a bit heated.
No, he had to go. His wife was calling him.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I need to watch that, evidently.
Yeah, I got pretty passionate about the subject matter today.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Todd Siding. What's up, everyone? Hey, Todd. What's up, dude? Yep. Hot Toddy.
Hot Toddy.
Anyway, arrogance always leads to hubris.
Yes,
hubris is a big word. Okay.
It's not Sorry, a big
just
word.
Pop back in. Would you rather have Frank Miller's original script for The Dark Knight Returns, or would you rather have the art pages? I'd rather have the original script.
I'd rather have the art pages.
There you go. Yeah. Tomato. Now the art pages will fetch more on the open market. Yep, because art is a bigger commodity. Yep. So anyway, missed everything. I'll just watch the rewind. You always do.
Todd always rolls in late, man.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, Negan is not a hero. There, said it. Anyway.
Well, it all depends on who's reading.
No. Don't give him any air.
Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Some.
Okay.
I watched some of it.
Well, Barney on there, Neil Patrick
okay.
Harris's character, loved, and I'm so glad that it, with Cobra Kai, they've actually kind of done this. But the Karate Kid, he always thought Daniel was the bully, and that it was Johnny that was the good guy in there,
right?
And no one ever agreed with him. And so, actually, in episodes of that, they had both of those characters, they had both of those actors come in and be on that show, and so it comes down to, I guess, your perspective, doesn't it, on who you think the good guy is and who the bad guy is.
Yeah. Well, I actually we had a guy named Chris Hicks that was in our group, and he did say Johnny. They thought Daniel was the big the interloper and the one that ruined Johnny's senior year. He'd always ran about that. So that's funny thing about it is we told him what's Cobra Kai, because that's exactly the premise they go off on Cobra Kai, and he just wouldn't watch it. He's like, I don't want to see that shit, and I was like, trust me,
you would love it.
Gotta watch Cobra Kai.
You would love it.
It's exactly what you're saying. Exactly what you're saying.
And Daniel doesn't come across as being a super nice guy all the time.
No,
you're like, come on.
No,
Daniel.
He does not. And you know why? Because it's good writing.
Because it's good writing. It is good writing. Check out Cobra Kai. Good writing.
Check out Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is really well written. Anyway, thank you, Luke, for coming on and saving my bacon today.
Thanks for having me. Speaking of
bacon. My nerd bacon. There you go.
I'm going to have to do like a late night bacon. Do it like, I don't know, call it like bacon prime time or a filet min bacon.
Yep, there you go. Anyway, check out Luke's show, Nerd Bacon. He's also got some draw streams and stuff like that. Website. I don't have it currently because I wasn't sure up to the last minute you'd be on, but I'll put it as soon as I get off here. But anyway, that has been Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics, and this is Luke Stone from Luke Stone Studios. Thank you to the Fluffiest Chat and all of you too for showing up today. No, nice and fluffy. Anyway, but y'all have a good day.
See ya.
Tell me what's on your mind.